close your eyes and notice your natural breath. Noticing how the quality of the inhale is different to the quality of the exhale. And ease over the next few breaths into a deeper breath. Feeling a sense of the inhale deepening and allowing the exhale to lengthen out. If you know Ujjayi breathing, use Ujjayi breathing, bringing a slight whispering sound into the breath by narrowing the throat. I want you to make each breath a little deeper, a little longer than the previous breath. So as you go through this practice this evening, there's the sense of cultivating your breath and of using your breath capacity more, like more than you would in everyday life. I've been really aware of this as one of the subtle gifts of yoga, is that over the last few weeks of being aware of the coronavirus and my lungs a lot more, is that when we work actively to improve breathing, then that's totally a skill that we can draw on. Whether we're feeling challenged through stress or whether we're battling a virus. Our muscles are become used to responding. Our rib cage, our bony structure, becomes used to responding to that call to ease into a deeper breath. My intent I'm offering for today is to listen to your inner compass. Listen to the subtle sensations and feelings inside of you as you practice. And then follow that. Like if a pose doesn't feel good, change it. If you think, actually right now I would rather not be doing Warrior 2, I would rather be lying on the floor. If that's the message you get, give yourself permission to follow that. Allow yourself to hear, well, what is my body saying? What would be good? What would feel good in my body right now? What does my inner compass say? Whether that's an insight, whether you get insights that arise around, how is my body in practice today, or whether you get insights into just stuff that's going on in your life. Like asking, what's my internal feeling about this? Take one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest, focusing a little more on a really deep, expansive breath. As you breathe in, I want you to imagine the breath filling up from the pelvic floor, through the belly, through the rib cage, right up to the top of the lungs. And then as you breathe out, imagine the breath emptying out, so that like it's the air empties out and then the barrel is empty. So inhaling, filling up all the way from the pelvic floor up to the top of the shoulders. Keeping the shoulders relaxed as you do that. Exhaling, emptying out as completely and fully as you can. Continue like that for a few more rounds. With a sense of how the breath can expand in all directions. The breath is going downwards, the breath is going upwards, the breath is expanding circumferentially out to the sides and forwards and backwards. And then gathering back in. Then, as a contrast, we're going to try something totally different. This one is not appropriate if you're pregnant. So if you're pregnant, I want you to continue to work with this breath where you're just filling up really gently and emptying out really gently. That will be a great one to work with. And in fact, if you're pregnant, you can feel for opening up more breath around the upper part of the lungs. That would be a great thing to focus on. If you are not pregnant and up for doing something interesting, we'll work with Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati is a short, sharp breath. It's quite like hyperventilating. So if you do find you get dizzy, give it a pause, and then when you're not dizzy, come back into it. So how Kapalabhati works is it's all about the exhale. You go pulling the belly in, relax the belly and breathe in, and then so exhale is inhale, relax the belly, a little bit of air pulls in. But you do that quite fast. Let's start with, say, 5 really slow ones. So inhale about halfway, then inhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale fast, inhale again, exhale fast, and then keep going, speeding it up a little bit. The effort is all on the exhale here. Keep going. The effort's all on the exhale, pulling the belly in as you exhale. And that's what's making the exhale happen. If you feel the belly muscles getting tired, that's good. That means you're getting it. Do 10 more. Then come back to that really slow, deep breathing. Filling all the way up, emptying all the way out. The reason that particular breath may be helpful, if you're dealing with lungs that are sticky, is that it's getting the diaphragm to move and it's getting the bottom of the lungs to move around. So if you end up in a position where you've got sort of stuff at the bottom of your lungs, that could potentially be helpful for getting that to move. But let's stick with the slow, deep breath, because that's the main gift that we have in the yoga practice, is about this really slow, expansive, powerful breath. Let's come into a side bend in shoelace. Now, let me give you a couple of options here. Option 1 is to be in a cross-legged position with your left leg in front. Option 2 is to put a cushion or a blanket or a block underneath that left foot. Option 3, if you are feeling very flexible in your hips and knees today, is to come into a full shoelace with this left foot on top of the right knee. And if your legs, if you tune into your inner compass and it says, none of those feel good right now, I want to do something else, give yourself permission to do whatever feels good for you. So, great. If this one's not working for you, try this one. All right. And then we'll come into a side bend. Let's do this with the right hand on the floor. Huge, massive inhale. Lift the left arm up. Exhale, leaning a little into the side bend and bringing the right shoulder down. For the next few breaths, really focus on sending breath into the side ribs. Like, feel how the breath can move the side ribs. This is a really great place to get into the intercostal muscles that are between the ribs here. Feeling if you can get a little more movement in the ribs with each breath. Like those muscles that hold the ribs together are kind of quite powerful and quite strong, but also quite stuck often. From here, we'll move into neck release. Bring the arm that's at the top out to the side, and then have the hand about a foot off the floor. Inhale, roll the collarbones up just a millimeter or two. Exhale, relax your right ear towards your right shoulder. Now this is an awesome place to relax the neck. So those of you who are kind of feeling that life is tensing up your neck right now, doing this neck release, just taking the head to one side, whether you're sat on the floor doing yoga or standing or sat in a chair, just relaxing the head to the side can be, and hanging out here for a minute or two is a really good thing to do. If it feels kind of uncomfortable in the neck, a couple of options for you. You could tilt the head so that you're looking down to the floor a little. Or the other option is to put something like a cushion underneath the head. Otherwise, just have the head relaxed to the side. Now bring the breath into this. Feel for sending your breath right up to this kind of collarbone area, because your lungs go that high up. And then I also want you to give your best quality of energy to relaxing the neck. Not tensing, not doing. Just relaxing the head to the side and letting the neck muscles release. This is an awesome thing to do every day. Then pick up your right hand off the floor. Hold the head with your hand, and then come upright. Change your legs over. So either doing shoelace with the foot on top, or the modified shoelace with the foot in front on a blanket or a block, or just a cross-legged position, or anything else that feels appropriate for you in this moment. Coming into a side bend the other way. This time the left hand's on the floor. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, leaning to the side. If this starts to create pain in the lower back, you need to be higher up here. Now be in an exploration of how much can I move my side ribs with the breath. If you're a beginner to this, focus on the ribs on the stretchy side. If you're an advanced yogi, also feel for expanding the ribs on the compressed side too. Change your top arm position for neck release. And now dedicate the next few breaths to relaxing your head to the side and releasing in the neck muscles. Inhale and wash your breath into the tight places of your neck. Exhale, relaxing the neck muscles. And relaxing any other tension you feel around that area. Continuing to come back to listening to your internal compass. Knowing that you're totally allowed to change anything you need to change. Then take your hand off the floor and use that to lift the head upright. Uncross the legs and give them a good shake. Either sit with the legs out to the side now, like a wide-legged seated position, or feet in Baddha Konasana, or something else. I want to just tune into the jaw muscles too, because when we're thinking about neck tension, there's often an interplay with what's happening in the jaw. So take your fingertips to the place where your upper and lower jaw meet. And then I find if I make some like yawning faces, I even move the lower jaw from side to side, I can get my fingertips into that small but really powerful muscle that holds the upper jaw and the lower jaw together. Like the masseter muscle. Just massaging the jaw muscle. Because sometimes that's where we start with our tension, or that's where we hide a lot of tension. And it can be a factor in the neck tension. Just really playing with getting my fingers in there. The like weirder faces you make with this, the better. Like, yeah. Another place that's quite nice to work is like along the cheekbone. So I'm kind of pushing my fingertips just underneath my the cheekbone. And like there's a strip of muscle in there that's connecting up to the jaw that's really tight. This is also a really great facelift yoga technique as well. Great. One more thing that's useful for the jaw is lion's breath. So we'll do a couple of rounds of lion's breath going into Uddiyana. If you're pregnant, when we get to the exhale, pull the belly bit in, I want you to not do that and just kind of continue to take some fluids breath. But whether you're pregnant or not, you can definitely do the lion's breath bit. I really like doing lion's breath, sticking my tongue out as far as possible, because that also gets into some of the fascia in the tongue and the throat and the neck. So I'll talk you through this sequence a couple of times, then you can do it a couple of times on your own. Inhale, press the fingertips into the floor, lift the chest up. Pause for a moment or two. Then do a lion's breath, sticking the tongue out and come forward. Come into a forward bend. If you're not pregnant, you can do Uddiyana, pulling the belly back and up and in. If you're pregnant, keep the belly soft. Then everybody breathe in and sit up again. Lift the chest up. Pause for a moment. Then do a lion's breath. Stick your tongue out as far as you can. Coming forward, keeping the belly soft if you're pregnant, or pulling the belly in if you're not. 2 more rounds. Inhale. Lift the chest. Feel the stretch across the collarbones. Lion's breath. One more in your own time. Great. Then bring the legs back together and do some circles with the ankles, circles with the wrists. Great. Let's move on to the back to do some work on the back now. Take a cushion nearby, and you'll use the cushion in a moment. If you can, come onto the back, right. Take one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. Come back to that sense of your breath filling up from the pelvis on the inhale and completely emptying out on the exhale. Just noticing with your eyes closed how lying on the floor feels a little different. Let's do some transverse abdominis contractions. If you're pregnant, you can do this lightly, but focusing on the lower belly and not pulling in the upper ribs. All right. Inhale, expanding the breath in all directions. On the exhale, gather the belly in. Pull both halves of the belly towards the midline. Pull the front lower ribs down. Pull the lower belly down. Inhale, soften the belly. Expand the breath in all directions, filling up the whole torso. On the exhale, gather both halves of the belly towards the middle. Pull the front lower ribs down. Pull lower belly down. Do 2 more breaths like that. Next, let's connect to the lower butt muscles. Cross your left leg all the way over your right leg, keeping the right foot on the floor. Now take your right hand onto your right lower buttock, just above the sitting bone. Inhale, press the right foot into the floor. Exhale, lift the hips just an inch and activate the right lower butt muscle. Inhale, relax the hips. Feel the lower butt muscle relax. Exhale, press the right foot into the floor. Feel the right lower buttock muscle switch on. Do 2 more like that. Then switch over. Change the legs over so the right leg's crossed on top, left foot's on the floor. With your left hand, find your left lower buttock. Kind of just above where the sitting bone is, kind of top of the thigh, really. Inhale, press the left foot down into the floor. Exhale, let the hips lift a little. Squeeze the left lower butt muscle. Inhale, relax that. Exhale, press the foot into the floor, squeeze the left lower butt muscle. Do 2 more. We're going to do 1 more round of 4, and I want you to pick whichever side felt weakest or most disconnected. So you'll do 4 more of those, either on the same side or the other side, whichever side feels like it needs more strengthening. So same thing, on the exhale, squeezing the lower butt muscle. On the inhale, relaxing. Doing 3 more of those. Great. Now uncross your leg. Find your cushion or rolled up mat or a couple of blocks or a couple of cushions, something fairly substantial that you can squeeze between your inner thighs. Let's get this. I want to focus on this butt action again on both sides this time. So take both hands so you can feel the lower buttock, top of the thigh area. So let's just do a couple of these. So inhale, make the feet active. Spread the toes out. Exhale, squeeze the cushion. Press the lower back down and feel both lower butt muscles working. Inhale, relax that. Exhale, squeeze the cushion. Activate lower butt. If you're pregnant, keep the belly relaxed. If you're not pregnant, gather the belly in too. Do 2 more like that. Squeezing the cushion, feeling the lower butt. Great. Next thing we'll do is some abs with a roll. But I want you to stay connected to these lower butt muscles. If you're pregnant, what I want you to do actually is continue doing what we just did. So you'll ignore the head and shoulders bit, keep the feet on the floor, but you'll still be working with the squeeze inner thighs and butt action of this, but ignore the belly stuff, ignore the head and shoulders stuff. If you are not pregnant, then let's do this with the feet off the floor and the knees bent. Cushion still between the thighs, hands behind the head. But everybody's going to be feeling for getting the lower butt muscles to be involved with this. Start by taking a huge, huge breath in. Pause, squeeze your thighs onto the cushion. Exhale. If you're doing head and shoulders lifts up. Squeeze the cushion again and squeeze your sitting bones together, feeling those lower butt muscles. Inhale, head and shoulders come down. Hold the breath, squeeze onto the cushion. Curl the tailbone up and feel if you can use those lower butt muscles to do that. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up. Squeeze the cushion. Squeeze the sitting bones together. Gather the belly in. Inhale, head and shoulders down. Massive breath in. Hold the breath. Squeeze onto the cushion. Curl the tailbone up using the lower butt. Exhale, head and shoulders up. Squeeze the cushion again. Squeeze your sitting bones together. Pull belly down. Do 2 more. Have the feet active too. Once you're done with them, bring the feet down to the floor and lose the cushion. Take a breath that feels like it begins at the pelvic floor and fills all the way up the torso to the top of the shoulders. And then empties out as completely as possible. Allowing yourself time for those deep breaths. Next one, if you're pregnant, let me give you an alternative to do. So if you're pregnant, you could come up to seated and do some wide-legged side bends. Again, focusing on the breathing capacity in the upper lungs. If you're not pregnant, then you'll be doing some elbow to knee with an added connection to the lower buttock. Let's build this up in stages though. So people who are doing abs with me, lift your feet off the floor, have the knees bent. Deep breath in, filling up the whole of the torso with breath. Pause, press the lower back and the top of the sacrum down. Now on exhale, straighten your right leg out about 45 degrees to the floor. Put your right hand on the right sitting bone and squeeze your right sitting bone towards the tailbone. Pull the belly down. Inhale, bend the knee. Hold the breath, press lower back down, press the top of the sacrum down. Exhale, straighten out the left leg. Take the left hand onto the left sitting bone and squeeze it towards your tailbone. Pull the belly in. Inhale, bend the knee. Have both knees above the hips, and so not so much coming into the chest. Yeah. Press lower back down. Exhale, straighten out the right leg. Right hand on right sitting bone, squeezing the sitting bone towards the tailbone. Gather the belly in. Inhale, bend the knee. Press lower back down, press sacrum down, curl tailbone up. Exhale, extend the left leg. Squeeze your left sitting bone towards the tailbone. Gather the belly in. Inhale, bend the knee. We'll add in the head and shoulders to this. If you just wanted to keep working with the legs, that's totally fine as well. All right, inhale, head and shoulders up. Hold the breath, press the top of the sacrum down. Exhale, point both elbows towards left knee. Straighten the right leg out. Now find your right sitting bone, squeeze it towards the tailbone and gather the belly in. Inhale, bend the knee, bring the elbows to the middle. Press the lower back down, press the top of the sacrum down. Exhale, elbows to the right, left leg reaches away. Spread the toes out. Now squeeze your left sitting bone towards the tailbone. Pull the belly in. Inhale, bend the knee, elbows to the middle. Press the lower back down. Press the top of the sacrum down. Exhale, elbows to the left. Right leg stretches away. Squeeze your right sitting bone towards tailbone. Gather the belly in. Inhale, knee bends, elbows to center. Head and shoulders stay up. Press the lower back down. Press the top of the sacrum down. Curl tailbone up. Exhale, elbows go right. Left leg stretches away. Squeeze your left sitting bone towards tailbone. Gather the belly in. Inhale, bend the knee, hand behind head. Exhale, head to the floor, feet to the floor. Everybody take some slow, expansive breaths. Close your eyes and check in with your internal compass. Noticing if any insights arise for you just in the course of your practice and navigating your practice. Or if anything else comes up. Sometimes just paying attention internally, we can notice feelings that weren't front of mind, but were there in the background. And learning to read that internal weather is part of the practice. Let's do bridge with a cushion between the thighs now. So taking your cushion, folding it up again, putting it between the thighs, or you could use a block or a rolled up mat, whatever you've got to hand. It needs to be reasonably chunky so that you've got something to squeeze onto. Then set your feet up for bridge. So you want the feet parallel. Have your head and neck straight on the floor. In fact, let's do this first. Just clasp your hands behind the back of the head. Inhale, lift the head up an inch and lengthen the back of the neck away. And then bring the head down to the floor. Then bring the arms down to the floor. Inhale, squeeze onto the cushion, curl the tailbone up. Exhale, press the feet into the floor more, lifting the hips up away from the mat. Just keep squeezing the inner thighs onto the cushion. If you're in the earlier stages of pregnancy and this feels fine to do, then continue. You can do bridge. If you're in the later stages of pregnancy, or if it just doesn't feel good, then sit up and do like a seated back bend instead. Everybody squeeze the thighs onto the cushion and then explore lifting the chest a little more so you're getting to stretch out the front body. Changing anything you need to change at any time. Then slowly ease down to the floor. Roll onto one side. And then sit up. Come onto your hands and knees now. Next, we'll just come into a regular downward facing dog. Stretching the hips up and back. And then working to stretch the back of the legs by padding the feet on the floor. Now keep breathing in that expansive way here. Imagine you're some really big jungle creature. If having the knees up doesn't feel so good for you today, another way of stretching the legs would be to keep one knee down on the floor and to stretch the back of the leg like this, just taking one leg back. That's an alternative if downward facing dog's not your friend today. Whichever one of those you're doing, breathing big. Then bring both knees down to the floor. And we'll work with either turbo puppy or turbo dog. Take the hands a little further forwards than they were. Inhale and bend the elbows halfway to the floor. Exhale, move the elbows closer together. So the hands stay flat on the floor, but the elbows are squeezing in. Head relaxes forwards. If you want to take this a stage further, you could come up into turbo dog, lifting the knees up off the floor. Keeping whichever one of those you're doing, keep the elbows bent. Take 2 more really massive breaths, whatever you're doing right now. And then we'll come up into standing. Maybe pop up into downward facing dog. And then walk the feet towards the hands or the hands towards the feet. And come upright. For the next thing, we will do Warrior One on the wall with chest opener. Now for this, you will need to move yourself so you're near to a wall or a window or a door, something you can put a hand on. I'm going to start this with the wall or door on my left-hand side. Then I'm stepping the left foot forward and right foot back. So it's that the leg that's closest to the wall is forward, other leg is back. And I'm not right up against the wall, I'm about a foot away from the wall. And then my legs are basically in Warrior One position. So left leg is bent, right leg is straight. Then I'm taking the left hand on the wall behind me. Now, depending on your shoulder, it may be the hand can just be at the same height as the shoulder with the arm straight. If that doesn't feel good in your shoulder, you could play with taking the hand lower or bending the elbow. Just play around with how that feels to the shoulder. You don't want to be stressing the shoulder joint. The aim here is to get into a stretch that can stretch the chest area. So with your other hand, with your right hand, I want you to find the left collarbones and find the band of muscle just below the left collarbones and massage that area. Send a huge breath up into the top left-hand corner of your chest. Exhale and massage the top left-hand corner of your chest. Notice if you feel any tension around that area and breathe into it. Use your breath and maybe some massage with your fingertips. This can be one of those areas where we're carrying a lot of tension and stickiness that's just limiting how our ribcage can move. And can also be introducing tension around the shoulder area too. So this is another interesting stretch to play with on a regular basis. All right, let's try the other side. So turn around so you've got the wall on the other side of you. And again, leg that is closest to the wall comes forward. So I've got my right leg forward, left leg back. And then the hand that's nearest to the wall goes behind you on the wall. Maybe working with the arm straight or maybe with the elbow bent. Just finding where's a good place for my hand to be. And then take the left hand onto the area underneath your right collarbones. Send your breath there and massage into that area. If it feels like you're suddenly encountering 30 years worth of tension, know that you might have to do this more than once or twice to dissolve it. As you work with what might be a really sticky place, Feel for listening into your body's wisdom, your inner compass around what is helpful to you right now. Maybe anything that you need to change in life in order for this part of you to have an easier time. To not need to be so grippy. Okay, come off the wall. That's warrior one with chest opener on the wall. So it's a great pose to try at home in between classes. Let's go through a few more poses. I will mix up some sun salutations, regular sun salutations, with different things in the middle, just so we can do a little bit more flowing movement, and also so we can warm up a few more areas. If sun salutations do not feel like your friend today, then feel free to maybe sit out the bits in between. So, like if you didn't want to do the flow on a regular sun, you just come into doing like a lunge on one side, and then a lunge on the other side. You just do the kind of middle poses. If you want to do the flowing bits, then follow along with all the other bits and pieces as well. Or if your body feels like it needs to do something different, like lie with your legs up the wall, then give yourself permission to do that. I'd recommend having a cushion or a blanket nearby, so if there's any point that your knees need extra padding, then just have that nearby and use that to pad your knees as and when you need to. Great. Just going to tuck my microphone in. Hopefully that won't fall out again. All right, stand at the short end of your mat. Bring your hands into prayer position. And just standing here, feel that massive breath. Let your shoulders soften. If you're pregnant, I'll give you some modifications as we go through this first round, and then you can either continue to do the modified sun salutation or just kind of do the main poses and skip the vinyasa, depending on how you feel. Inhale. Everybody bring your arms forward and up. Spread the fingers out. Exhale into a forward bend. If you're pregnant, take your feet a little bit wider to make space. Lunge. Let's everybody do this. Step your left leg back a long way. Bring your knee down to the floor and lift your arms forwards and up. Let's stay here for a few breaths. Exhale, let your hips come forwards. Notice what your complete breath feels like in this pose. It's going to be a little bit different in each shape that we make. Plank. Inhale, bring your hands down. Exhale, step your right leg back. If you're pregnant, keep your knees down on the floor. If you feel okay with having the knees up, you could have the knees up. Exhale. If you're pregnant, move into doing a couple of rounds of cat-cow, rounding the back and arching the back. If you're not pregnant, come all the way down to the floor. Inhale into a cobra. Exhale into a downward facing dog. Lunge. Everybody, now take your left foot forwards. Have the right knee down on the floor to do lunge on the other side. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bring the hips forwards. Feeling how your breath is so much more open than an hour ago. Like you've warmed up your breathing apparatus. Inhale, arms come down. Exhale, step forwards. If you're pregnant, have the feet a little wider than usual to make space. Inhale, come up. Bring the arms forward and up. Exhale, hands into prayer position. Next round. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward bend. We'll come into easy twisting lunge now. To do this, take the right leg back and have the right knee down on the floor. Demonstrate this the other way around. Okay. And then take your right hand down on the floor and left hand up in the air. I want you to also play with relaxing the head to the side here. Inhale, spread out your fingers. Exhale, move both shoulder blades down the back, away from the head. And then relax your right ear towards the right shoulder. Feel if you can get in a neck release here. Inhale, bring the hands to the floor. Exhale, step back into plank or onto your hands and knees. If you're pregnant, do cat-cow. If you're not pregnant, lower down to the floor. Inhale into a cobra. Exhale into downward dog. Easy twisting lunge. Right foot comes all the way forwards. Left knee is on the ground. Inhale, plant the left hand on the floor and reach the right hand up in the air. Exhale, move both shoulder blades away from the head and then relax your left ear towards the left shoulder. Can you relax the neck so much you feel an opening on the right hand side of the neck? Anything you need to change, give yourself permission to change poses, to modify them, to make the practice suit you. Inhale, bring the top arm down. Exhale and step into forward bend. Inhale, stand up. Exhale, hands into prayer. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale to a forward bend. Inhale, left foot steps back for like a balancing lunge. So your left foot will be back, right foot will be forward, but you'll stay balancing on the left toes. And then you'll lift your hips up, lift your torso up, lift the hips up, and work this with the hands on the hips. The more you bend your back knee, the more you feel this in the thigh. Leisurely expansive breaths, even when your thighs are feeling intense. Moving through a half salutation. Inhale, hands to the floor, stepping back into plank or hands and knees. Exhale, coming down to the floor or coming into some cat-cow. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Standing balancing lunge. Inhale, left foot forwards. Exhale, lift the torso up. And then you're balancing on the toes of the back foot. So the right heel is up in the air, balancing on the toes of the right foot. Right knee is bending, knee coming down towards the floor. Then step forwards, come into a forward bend. Inhale and come up to standing. Take the arms up to. Exhale, hands into prayer position. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale and take the right leg back a long way for lounge lunge. So you'll take the right knee down to the floor. I would put like a blanket or a cushion underneath the knee for this one. And then I'm also taking my left foot a little further forwards. So option one here is just to take the hands on the floor, sinking the hips forwards and down. Option two, I'm keeping the right hand on the floor, taking my left hand on the left shin and rotating my chest a little towards the knee. Let the right outside edge of the hip roll down towards the floor if you're doing the twisted version. Then ease out of that. If you want to, come straight into the other side. If you want to do a half sun salutation, then just move through that in your own time. And then we'll come to the other side. So this time it'll be right foot forward, left hand on the floor. So make sure your right foot is far enough forwards. I normally have to take the right foot a bit further forwards. So my hips are coming forwards and down towards the floor. Then the left hand is on the floor, right hand is on right shin, and turning towards the knee. Or maybe working this with both hands on the floor, depending on what feels helpful to your hips, legs today. Ease out of that and make your way into a forward bend. Inhale and stand up. Bring the arms up. Exhale, hands into prayer position. Next, we'll work with a wide-legged forward bend. So, turn so you're looking at the long end of your mat. And then step your feet like 4 feet apart, quite wide. My feet are parallel here. So the toes, the feet are all pointing in one direction. I wonder also, we'll do like a bit of neck traction, neck relaxing here as well. If you watch me first, you'll see what the options are for that. For some people, it just feels nicest to clasp the hands around the back of the head, bring the elbows in around the head, and just lightly use the weight of the arms to stretch the neck out. For some people, if you've got longer hair and your scalp isn't sensitive, you can take 2 handfuls of hair from on top of your head and just relaxing this forward bend, holding on to the 2 handfuls of hair. And whichever version of this you do, whether it's holding onto the hair, whether it's holding onto the back of the head, I'm not really pulling on the head. It's just like the weight of the arms is providing a very gentle way of lengthening the neck. Staying here for 3 more breaths, or until you feel you need to come out. Then release the hands. Take your hands onto the hips. Inhale and come up. Exhale and heel toe the feet back in towards each other. Great. Then come to sitting on your mat for just a simple seated twist. Let's do this with the right leg straight. If you're pregnant, have the left leg bend, foot a little bit out to the side, and then if you're pregnant, you're twisting away from the knee like that. If you're not pregnant, you'll be doing this in more of a constricted twist. So if you're not pregnant, you could cross your left foot over the right leg, and then twist across the body like that. So if you're pregnant, you're twisting the other way around to what I'm saying. All right. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale and move into the twist. Inhale, stretch out the fingers and spread out the toes. Exhale, soften the shoulders. Make the most of every breath. That means you need to allow enough time for the breath. Feeling a sense of each inhale filling up. Each exhale emptying out. And as you've been working at expanding the breath for the whole class, your breath probably takes longer now. It'll take longer to be using this capacity that you're waking up. And then ease out of that and change over to twist the other way. So if you're pregnant, staying in more of an open twist. If you're not pregnant, you could cross the leg over and twist across the thigh. Making this about the breath. breath capacity is an immensely subtle goal. Because we can't quite see what's happening inside ourselves. There's some feeling, but not as much as if say, you focus on the skin. And there's also so many different places where the breath can go. Both there's all the tangible stuff around the ribs, but then really it's possible to as you breathe to feel, certainly feel up into the neck and down into the belly and the hips and maybe further beyond too. So working with the breath could be a lifetime's journey. And sometimes the opening up happens through letting go, and through letting go of held tension, rather than through athletic effort. Sometimes we actually need to make less effort in order to find more freedom in the breath. Just noticing if there's any effort you could let go of. And if that allows more breath to move through you. And then come out of that twist. And we'll come into a forward bend. So either doing this with the feet in Baddha Konasana or legs out to the side, whichever feels best for you right now. Or you can also do the legs out to the side with the knees a little bent too. That can be good. Take the hands behind the hips. Inhale, press the fingers down. Lengthen the whole rib cage up away from the hips. Keeping some of that length in the back. Exhale, lean forwards, taking the hands onto the legs or the floor. Now, if it feels good to come further down, and there's no pain in the lower back, feel free to kind of come to wherever your relaxed edge is. If that doesn't feel so good in your lower back, I want you to stay a bit higher up. So there's a sense of the hips moving forwards, but it's not necessarily like the whole spine is rounding. As we ease towards relaxation and shavasana, continue listening internally, but allowing even that act of listening to soften. And being open to receiving information within your internal ecosystem on any level. Might be words, it might not be words. Might be physical sensation, it might not be physical sensation. Might be pictures, might not be pictures. And then ease out of your forward bend and come into whatever resting position will work best for you. Whether that's a kind of classical on your back shavasana, or you feel like you want to lie on your side, or legs up the wall, or even legs supported on a sofa can be real nice too. making your way into a comfortable resting position. If you're doing legs on the sofa, try and get as much of your shins on the sofa as possible. Once you're settled, stay with that really deep breath for a few rounds. Breathing in a low effort way, but still in a way that's using a lot of your breath capacity. Feeling the breath filling all the way up and emptying all the way out. Feel free to stay connected to the breath in this way for the next 10 minutes of silence if you want to. Or if you want to return to a natural breath without any effort at all, that's all good. Be guided by your own internal sense of what works best for you. Notice the quality of your breath. The subtlety of your breath. The latent power of your breath. Feel how easy it is to deepen the breath. How you can do that with minimal effort. It's something within yourself you can call to, you can connect to, you can dial up. And feel how you can amplify that breath without that being stressful. There can be a quality to deep breathing that's also deeply restful.